Hey babes, welcome. If you've clicked on this video, I'm assuming you're here for fishbone cactus care or fishbone cactus propagation, or you just enjoy watching my videos, which if that is the case, thank you so much. Whatever the reasons you've clicked on this video, welcome. Today we are tackling a job that I have wanted to do for ages. Like ages and ages, but I knew I wanted to film it for you guys, and therefore I've been putting it off because sometimes that just happens. That's how my brain works. I don't know. I don't make the rules up there. It has a world of its own. So this is my fishbone cactus. The botanical name, I'm never completely sure how to pronounce it correctly. It's an epiphyllum, and then I always say anguliger. Is it anguliger? Is it something completely different? I feel like I always say anguliger. That might be wrong. Fishbone cactus. This cactus is a jungle cactus, and jungle cacti are epiphytes. They grow on trees in, the jungle. They can tolerate lower light than you would usually. Like when you think of cactus, you're thinking like desert, bright, full sun all the time. Jungle cacti don't need that much sun. They don't need full sun all the time to thrive. We'll get a little bit into the care as I talk about them a little bit more as I'm doing the stuff, because if I carry on talking now, I won't do anything, which that's not the point of this video. So I better get started. Anyway, I've had this guy for a while. I'm doing that thing where I just carry on talking and I don't actually do anything, but I find it so hard to talk and do. Let me give you a little bit of background. I've had this plant, this big mum right here. When did I get it? I can't remember when I got this plant. Nope, I can't remember, but I know I have got a photo of when I got it. This plant is so special to me. It was like, when I got this plant, I'd had, the house plants in my home, like the really kind of generic ones that we kind of probably all start off with. And I'd had them for a little while, and I was just kind of starting to learn about all the different types of plants that we can have in our homes that aren't always readily available. And I'd seen a beautiful fishbone cactus on Instagram, and it was like my first wish list plant. I saw that photo and I was like, I need that plant. It was like a need. It was like, I have to have that in my collection. And so I just kind of kept it in mind, in my head. At this point, I hadn't ordered any plants online before, like none of that stuff. And I was just like, if I happen to come across it, I will get it. And where I live in Bristol, I'm lucky enough to have quite a few independent plant shops as well as amazing garden centres. And I actually picked this up in a plant shop. Or if you're new here, I trip over my words a lot, and sometimes I just glaze over it, sometimes I make a fuss out of it. Just know that I trip over my words a lot. The plant shop I picked this up in is called Wild Leaf. They're still around today. They've moved from when I bought this in their first shop and it was teeny tiny. Now they've got a much bigger one, but they had this plant. They had a huge one that was like over £100, and I was like, I'm not spending that much on a plant. I would never spend that much on a plant. I probably would again. But at the time, I think £20 was like the most I ever spent on a plant. Oh, those are the days. But they had a smaller version of this amazing plant, and I picked up, I can't remember, it was like £6 or £8. Oh, but I loved it, and I sent Steve, my husband, a photo, and I was like, we're the proud parents of a fishbone cactus. I was just like, the joy on my face, it says it all. And this plant still brings me so much joy. And since then I have chopped it, I've shared it with friends, and more recently, in recent years, I put it into this glass vessel in a, it's not quite like a, I wouldn't say it was like completely semi-hydro, but in terms of like the substrate, it wasn't like a pon or a semi-hydro equivalent, but it is a very, very chunky soilless medium in there. So there definitely is a like pon semi-hydro-esque look to this substrate. I can see like cocoa husk and orchid bark. There's all sorts in there. And then there's a leca layer at the bottom for a water reservoir. And I've just left it in there. And yeah, basically, oh, I'll do the waffling. Basically, I left this plant in a spot that was probably just a little bit too low light for it. And you can see that there are lots of these kind of scraggly sections that are just almost straight. And basically, I want to remove all of those, and then I'm going to see what I'm left with. And if I don't really like the way it's looking, I might propagate and start again. So yeah, if going back to the kind of light situation, they don't need as much light as you think a standard cactus needs, but they definitely do need light to be able to grow like the amazing zigzaggy growth that we love. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to propagate some bits. I will be propagating these like skinnier sections because I don't hate them. I quite like the way they look. I just don't want them in with the plant anymore. So I'm going to propagate them, and I know that they will grow zigzaggy bits on them anyway. So that's what we're going to do first. And that bit is snapped. Or, well, yeah, I was going to say clinging on for dear life. Definitely snapped. When it was in the lower light place, I let it dry out way too much on one occasion, and they all went really wrinkly, and I was worried I was going to lose it. So I did actually chop it then, and I have the propagated bits up on my plant shelf. They look really, really cute just dangling down. So we're just going to see. I might end up, like, there's a part of me that wants lots of smaller versions of this plant as opposed to this really big one. But I might not have the guts to like completely chop it up today if I like the way it looks. This one is really, really floppy. They shouldn't be that floppy. So let's get chopping, shall we? It's currently sat on top of a stool, so I'm just gonna take it off of that. And now my softbox might be glaring in my glasses, so I'm sorry if it is. Where did I put this scissors? Chaos. Okay, I'm just going to start chopping. I don't know if I'm going to talk very much throughout this section. I'm literally, in terms of where to chop, you can chop anywhere on this plant, like seriously, anywhere. There's no like nodes that you have to look out for, you can just chop. So I'm going to get chopping, and then I'll show you what I've chopped off and what I'm going to do with it. I've cut off a lot more than I was expecting to, but oh yes, doesn't that look so much better? Oh, I'm, yeah, much happier with that. That looks beautiful. Yes, it doesn't look scraggly anymore. I need to clean the leaves, but I think that looks so much better. Oh, look at those top ones. I love them. Okay, I'm just going to pop that one there.
Is it stable? Oh my god, that would be the worst thing in the world if it fell down. I'm not going to leave it there. I'll put it here. You can kind of see it. There we go. You can sort of appreciate it there. Right. Although actually, I'm probably just going to need the tabletop, I think, to like work through these propagations. Okay. That's the extra like floppy one. I don't know if that one's going to survive. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you down, and then I'll show you. Okay, so in this pile, I have ones that are like, no, that's not a good example. So I've got ones like this that are like cute, really, really cute. I love the way that looks, but it's pretty skinny all the way to the end. And then I've got ones that are like, oh, like this, where they're like skinny, but then they've got cute kind of fat ends on them, and then go skinny again apparently. So I want to kind of divide it into like slightly fatter bits, and then to like really skinny bits, and then probably propagate them all differently. I'm gonna have so many sections. I'm gonna have so many propagations of this. I'm probably gonna have to sell some. Right, let's get dividing. So okay, so these are all of the kind of cuter ones. So I think so the way I like to propagate is I'll either pop these straight into a substrate because they can root really well just being potted in, or I also quite like doing water propagation with these, and both of them, like both those strategies, have worked really, really well for me, like really, really well. So I'm gonna just kind of collect a few little bits that I like the look of together. Oh, okay, just kind of snap that bit a little bit. That's okay though, it'll be fine. So because these are epiphytes, they grow roots like on the edge, on the outside of them as well, to absorb, you know, nutrition from the air. That's quite a long one. Oh my god, this is going to be the stinkiest, cutest looking plant. Okay, right, that's going to be my first little bundle. I could probably sell these individually, couldn't I, really? Probably don't need to pot them together, but here we are, potting them together. Got this section. Oh my god, I love that zigzag. Oh, is that not the coolest? Oh my goodness, it's really dusty, this one. This one must be an old part of the plant. That is super cool. I really, really love that. Oh my god. God, they're just such cool plants. Okay, how, like that could look pretty good together. Oh my god, they're just so cute. Stop it. I'm definitely going to take one of these babes into work with me. Oh, so cute. Adorable. Right.
And then I actually want to divide the skinnier sections up again, because there are some that are like really, really straight, and then there are some that are not so straight. So I'm just gonna do that. Okay, what I've actually decided to do is, with all of these like slightly straighter ones, I'm going to propagate them in water. So I'm literally just going to put them in a jar, in some water, pop them somewhere and leave them to it for a little bit. I need to figure out what I want to do, and I think I also need to figure out like vessels for these. So I'm just going to pop them to the side for now. So I am going to pot the larger ones up with you in a minute, but I just wanted to show you this section. I mean, what a weirdo to begin with, but I feel like, oh yeah, you can see it here. You can see all the like, I mean, I don't know if they'd be considered spines, but they are. So these cactus, they're not spiky. They have got these little like hairs on them, and I have been pricked by them. I think like, I don't know, if you, I mean, you can brush backwards along them. These ones are quite soft. But I have had one get like stuck in my skin before. It didn't really hurt. It's just, I guess for information, they have got little hairs on them. Not all over, like, you know, you can see that this one doesn't have it on it. It's more kind of near the base down here, and like with the new growth kind of comes out a little bit more hairy. And they do, again, you can kind of see it. Let me get a better example for you. So as they age, they do, this is called corking, I believe, on cactus, and it's where the kind of stem starts to go a bit hard, and I believe that's so it can support itself better. I don't know if you can see, yeah, like here. So the oldest part of the stem starts to cork and get a bit more sturdy, and I think it is kind of to support itself. Like loads, you'll see loads of like really old cactus do kind of have that barky, corky element to them near the base, just for strength. I believe that's what it is. In terms of pests, I have only ever had thrips on this plant, and I got rid of them really quickly actually. I think I just sprayed it. This was back when I was using sprays instead of beneficial mites. Just sprayed it once and they were gone. So it seems pretty pest resistant in my experience. So that's good. Okay, so I'm going to do what? I need to get some vessels to put these sections into. Let me see what I've got available. Okay, so I've just got some pots. They are drainage ones. They're not clean. I'm not precious about potting into like, oh, I haven't got my mic on. I'm not precious about kind of potting into like a really clean pot. So let's just get past that, shall we? In terms of potting them in, there is a right and a wrong way. Like obviously there's a, you know, a bottom and a top to the plant. So this one's really easy to tell. This is the top, this is the bottom. It's easy to tell for me because of the growth pattern. I can see that this is all new growth, and I can also tell that I've chopped this end. So I've chopped this bit off the plant with, I mean obviously there's two strands to this, but I've chopped this top bit and I've also chopped the bottom. But with this one I feel like it's quite easy to tell as well. You can see the corking on this end. Yeah, some new growth at the top. So yeah, it's just being mindful, because you can kind of take one of these sections and chop it up, and then it's a bit trickier to tell the top and the bottom. Like if I just had like two sections of this bit, it would be hard to tell. So it's just kind of keeping in mind, as I say, it can root from like all areas. Like there's roots at the top of this plant, so it's not like a big deal if you happen to pot it upside down. The new growth will find its way, the roots will find their way, but it's just something to note. Yeah, just something to keep in mind. The substrate I'm going to use is going to be the Soil Ninja Orchid and Anthurium one. Anthurium and Orchid one it's actually called. It's a great one for epiphytic plants like Hoyas, orchids, Anthuriums. What else do they have on here? Like apparently they've got Aspidistra, Dischidia. Oh, it's even got Fishbone Cactus on here and Schlumbergera. They're like the Thanksgiving, Christmas cacti kind of things. Like anything that likes to grow on other plants, epiphytic plants. They'll love this soil, so I'm going to use this. So I'll change your angle, or can I, maybe I'll just bring this section up. There we go, okay. Oh, I'm getting like pins and needles. I'm gonna move Big Mama because she's just gonna get in the way. Okay, I'm literally gonna put soil in and shove these guys in. In terms of care for these, I've already said that I have let it dry out too much and then the leaves shriveled. I don't think I've done that many times. I've never seen it wrinkly basically. I let the substrate dry out pretty much all the way and then I'll water, but that particular time the substrate was bone dry and obviously the plant was starting to use its like reserves to hydrate itself. Easy. I'm gonna just stick a few of these all in one pot, make it look cute, arrange it in a certain way, as like some of them do have roots. So I'm going to try and get those under the soil just because, you know, they're already there. Come on, how cute! I freaking love jungle cacti. Like how can you not love this plant? It's so adorable. It is so adorable. Like, oh. Like, oh. I mean, I kind of just like it with 3. Is that not adorable? Like, are you serious? It's so stinking cute. So I'm going to leave that like that. What I'm going to do is I will ever so slightly, so the soil in here is like, it's slightly damp, like it's not wet. It's not, there's just a slight dampness to it. So I'm not going to put any water in there today. Tomorrow, when it's really dry, I'm just going to spray the top, like the top layer. And that's kind of it. I probably won't water then until I see some roots are forming or I see new growth, because it doesn't need, it's got enough water in these leaves, it's hydrated, it is the winter months, although a lot of jungle cacti grow in the winter months. Like a lot of these really shiny bits are new growth that have grown in the last month or so. So it is technically the growing season for this plant. In the summer it completely like just hangs out, it stops. So I would expect to see roots pretty quickly actually. And when I say pretty quickly, maybe like mid-February. So it's mid-January now. What is it, like January 13th? It's January 13th today, I think. So I think by mid-February, in a month's time, I should be able to see some roots. I should see something happening, or I should be able to do like the tug test and it not come out. So yeah, that's how I know that it's going well. I'm gonna do the same with the rest of these, and then I'll check back in with you then. I'm really happy with how they all turned out. Okay, so let me show you them. So there's this one. Isn't it cute? And then I've got this guy, which is a little bit more like of a dangly one. The first one that I potted with you. And then this one. And I realised when I was potting them all up, I didn't mention about callousing over, so I've not let them callus over. I know I said that this soil has like, it's not damp, it's just got like a bit of moisture in it, like it's not completely bone dry. But even with that, I'm not worried about them like rotting. I've never had one of these guys rot. I think if I was going to put it into, no, I've chopped and put straight into water before, so I've never had a problem with them rotting. I'm not saying that they will not rot. They, you know, do your own little experiments. They could rot. I'm not saying that they won't, because they're quite, you know, thick succulenty plants. I've just never had a problem with this particular plant rotting on me, so I can only share my experience with you. But yeah, so I've not let them calloused over, I've just plopped them in there. Tomorrow I'll give the top of the soil just a little spritz. I won't like wet the whole of the soil, I'll just put like a little bit kind of into the top layer, and in about a month I should get some roots that I can see, and I'll have 4 new plants. Where they're gonna go, I don't know. But I love this plant. I feel like everyone should have one of these in their collection, and I personally don't feel like I could ever have too many of this particular plant, because I just love it. So I need to find a vessel to put all of the like long thin ones into water in, so just give me a minute. So I've grabbed this vessel. This actually had it was from Sainsbury's. It had an orchid in it, one of the Phalaenopsis orchids, like the ones that we see everywhere, but it was variegated, and I've never seen a variegated one, so I just thought I'm going to grab that. I didn't want to keep it in this glass vessel. Haven't actually cleaned the vessel so that you can see some of the bark on there, but as I said, I'm not precious about this kind of thing. I'm just going to put, I can't see it very well, I'll do it up here. I'm just going to put all of the longer sections in, and I'm not too worried if there are some that like either don't touch the water completely, because the kind of humidity will mean that the roots will grow anyway, and if there's any that fully fall into the soil, I'm also not worried. 1, because look how much I've got, and 2, I feel like it would probably just root. I guess we'll see. I'm gonna just put these all in. I'm gonna make sure that they're all at the right way, because I can see like this one, that's the growing end, that one also, and this one, whereas the rest of them are like the end. So I'm just going to make sure they're all up the right way, and if they're not, I'm going to try and pull them out without dropping them, which I just did. If there are any that are like too short, I might kind of leave them out and put them in something else maybe, but we'll ooh, the pigeon just landed on the, oh, a pigeon landed on the balcony and then got scared by the squirrel. Right. Okay, all of these sections just feel a little bit too short to put in there, so I'm going to put them into a different water vessel. I did say at the beginning I might repot the big plant, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I feel like I love it so much more now. Yeah, I feel like I love it so much more. I might end up repotting it, I don't know, but I'm not going to do it today. I wanted to see if I can just show you. There's a little bit of new growth here that's like a corally orangey colour. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the new growth can come in this really beautiful coral peachy orange, and it's stunning. It's such a fun plant. Like, if you don't have one, I really do highly recommend you getting one. They are so easy care, they're easy to propagate, they look so cool. Highly recommend. I feel like I want to just like make sure I've summarized, like I just want to like summarize and see if I've covered everything. So light, bright but doesn't need direct light, can tolerate lower levels of light but too low and you'll get the scraggly growth. Watering, depending on the substrate it's in, just don't let it get bone dry for too long. Like in this vessel it's got the lacquer layer at the bottom, and that had been bone dry for a really long time when it got all wrinkly, so try not to do that. Obviously it did bounce back, but it was a little bit, I was worried for a period of time, which is why I took propagations from it. To propagate, chop anywhere, put it into your medium of choice really that you've seen me do into a soil kind of substrate, the Soil Ninja Anthurium Orchid mix, which I'll have linked down below, and you've seen me put into water. I've successfully propagated in both of those ways before. I haven't used things like moss or perlite or any other substrate, but I imagine it would be fine. Like, I feel like these could just, like if you just led them on top of some soil, a bit like when a succulent leaf falls off of a succulent, you just kind of leave it and it'll root and grow new growth. I feel like they're like that. Feeding, I do feed sporadically, really not very often, probably could do with a little bit more. Every now and then I will spritz it with my orchid fertilizer spray to encourage blooms, because these guys can bloom and they are beautiful, but I've never had it bloom for me yet. I don't think I've tried that hard though, but yeah, I'm not the best for fertilizing this one and it seems to be fine. Would probably like a little bit more fertilizer. Humidity, it doesn't seem particularly bothered. It's a jungle cactus, so it can tolerate, so it likes higher humidity than say a regular cactus, like a desert cactus would. But I've had it in my home, like naturally sits high 50s to like high 80s naturally, depending on the time of year, the weather, kind of like what's going on, and I've never known it struggle with that. So I don't think humidity is the biggest deal. I think it is more kind of just keeping it in light that it likes and not letting it completely dry out for too long. I think that's the summary of care for this one. And time, I mean, I suppose patience, but when it is growing and it's happy, it will grow loads. Like, so much of this section at the top is new growth. Like, you can see how like shiny it is compared to the more, there's some like real dusty bits down here. I feel like I've got one of the little hairs stuck in my finger, and like press on it and it hurts, but I didn't feel it when it went in. Anyway, I feel like I've covered everything. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you found me because you were looking for care tips on this plant, or you wanted to learn how to propagate and you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. I will be so grateful to have you here. If you're a regular viewer, thank you for coming back. Thanks for hanging out with me whilst I care for this plant, finally. It's been on the list for a while. Give this video a little thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below if you have one of these. Let's have a little chat in the comment section. Let me know how you care for it, what environment you keep it in, how you get on with it. If you've ever propagated, tell me all the information. I would love to hear it. If you found this video helpful or you just really enjoyed it, please consider sharing it with a planty friend or with someone who has this plant and maybe struggling with its care. Pass on the tips, pass on the love. The squirrels that visit my balcony are literally sat looking directly at me. There must be no food out there for them. It's just sat waiting. I'll stop filming and I'll put some food out for them. But yeah, thanks for being here. I will see you in the next one. Bye.